Yes, I think we are live now. I'm hoping those in the comments will let us know if we are live or not. But as you can tell, yeah, I think we're okay. That's what Stefan's doing there. We're all right. Yep, we are live. I'll double check it on YouTube just to make sure we are. So if we are on YouTube and you're watching me just waffle like a tit, then you know why. Because we want to make sure that we are ready to go. I'm just checking that we are. Yep, it's coming all right on my end. There we go. So yeah, obviously I'm joined by Stefan and Annie for this weekend's championship review. The first one we did in 2 weeks, because obviously last week was FA Cup round 3 action. So how are you fine gentlemen doing on this Sunday evening?
Not too bad, thanks. Yeah, not too bad at all.
Yeah, not too bad. Apart from the football, not too bad.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah, the post.
I seem to be saying that a lot recently.
Yeah,
Apart
I have.
from football,
Yeah, I know. When you're in that place, it's a bit like, oh, this is crap, isn't it? But yeah, we'll stay away from the football. Did you actually go to the game yesterday, Annie?
No, I did not, thankfully.
So is that the one good thing about the football, the fact you weren't there?
Huge waste of time that would have been. I do feel sorry for everyone in that away end who went yesterday, packed that away end. I feel so sorry for every single one of them.
Hopefully our trip to Oxford in the FA Cup is not giving me similar emotions afterwards. But we shall see. We'll see on that one. But yeah, so obviously it was a full weekend of, I'll double check, it was a full weekend, wasn't it, of championship action? Yeah. Yes, it was. All 12 games happened. Obviously, we wouldn't have had a lot of postponements. Oh no, that was in League Two. I'm thinking the last weekend before the FA Cup weekend, I think it was like a load of postponements in like League Two or something.
Yeah, every game in League Two was postponed, apart from the ones on Sky.
Yeah. Funny that.
Ooh, how convenient. But yeah. Okay, well, obviously, we will save the Wrexham and Bristol City games for the end for these two fine gentlemen to discuss, as I'm sure they both really want to do this evening. We'll go with that. But yeah, so first and foremost, I'm just going to say for Carl, thoughts are with you, mate. Obviously, got Steph in the group chat on Messenger between me, him, and Stefan. I think he's kind of explained why, but yeah. Let's just say he's in a bit of bereavement at the minute. A close friend of his sadly passed away recently. So thoughts are with you, mate. Things are more important than football. Mm-hmm. Apologies if you didn't want me to reveal that, but it's just a bit of context as to why you're not here. But yeah, right. Let's move on to the most important of the least important things in life, which is the football, of course. Let's start with the right. What derby is this? Is this the M69 derby? It's called.
It is the M69 derby. Yeah.
Now, conveniently, and said in our group chat on Twitter, as he knows, I might come and join you depending on the result. I suspect at half time he might have been up for it, and at full time he was a big fat no. I am staying well away from talking about it. That was right. Coventry came from behind to beat Leicester, which I believe was their first win in 4. I want to say. Maybe including all competitions, I don't know, but I think they beat Swansea on. Yeah, that's right. They beat Swansea on Boxing Day, I believe. Then they lost to Ipswich, drew with Charlton, lost to Birmingham, and then I don't think they're going to care about this one, but lost to Stoke in the FA Cup. But yeah, well, suffice to say, this is the game probably out of the lot of them they would have wanted to win the most. And I can imagine that Ant is wanting to pretend today that football does not exist because Leicester were in front at half time. Through actually a pretty mature finish from Jordan James in the first half, and Leicester actually had some pretty good chances in the first half to extend their lead even further, really. But then, of
really
course,
good goal there as well, wasn't it? Because it was the Leicester goal, really good goal. Because it was Bobby Reid who gets the ball on the edge of the box, lovely bit of skill, lays off to Jordan James, and he hits it hard and low near post. Gives Ruckworth no chance, does he?
Yeah, no, the build-up to it was really good as well. And actually, I said at half-time, from what I did see, it looked like Leicester were a good value for the lead at half-time. But obviously, Coventry in the second half kind of demonstrated why they are top of the division and came from behind to show their character and come from behind to end up winning. Thanks to goals from their two main men up front, Ellis Sims and Hadji Wright. Ellis Sims' goal, which part of his body did that go off in order to go in the back of the net? Because I think he's probably just going like, oh, it just bounced off him and went in. But
it was his calf.
Oh, okay. We'll see how much he knew. If he knew next to nothing about it, then that for a Coventry fan point of view, if he knew nothing about it, that makes the goal even funnier, given it was against Leicester. But
his back was to goal. He was basically lying on the ground and hit off the back of his calf and went in.
Yes. Well, in which case from Sims, but obviously that was really important to get from Coventry to get level, right at the start of the second half. An assist for Jack Radoni as well. It's good to see that he's back in the side and able to, obviously he's had a lengthy spell out injured. And then Hadji Wright. Now, I could be wrong here, but I believe within the Coventry fan base, they were saying this is Hadji Wright's first goal since October, I believe. But apparently, I think he was out injured for a spell of it. So someone might want to double check that and make sure and correct me if I am wildly wrong there. But there's obviously a lot of contention around this winning goal as to whether Hadji Wright was in an offside position. What do you two think? Do either of you think he was offside, or do you think that the goal was right to stand?
I mean, it's a tricky one. Basically, because they don't have the dreaded 3 letters in the championship. Now, if they did have a version of the dreaded 3-letter word in the championship, it would have been even tighter. But the way the ball came in from across the corner of the box and hit off Hadji Wright, not Hadji Wright, Ellis Sims, sorry. I think it was because it hit off Ellis Sims that the goal was actually given. Had Ellis Sims not touched the ball though, it was a tight one. It was tight. Very, very tight. And sometimes you need to get that luck, and when you're top of the table, you seem to get the rub of the green, as they say.
What do you think, Annie?
Yeah, no, it's a really tight one. I've not seen actually the sort of full replay of it. I've seen a couple of still images, and it sort of changes depending on angle. It's one of those ones where it kind of changes offside from that angle, offside from this angle, and that's a sort of benefit and disadvantage of having so many cameras in crowds in stadiums now. So, yeah, it's really inconclusive, and unfortunately, we have seen decisions in the Championship this season. I'm talking mainly the games I've seen, Bristol City games, where an offside's been given and the linesman or whoever it is purely guessing. And I think you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt on that one, because I think it probably is just onside. It probably is. But again, it's really tight, and it's so hard to sort of judge the split second moment like that, and especially when it's so tight like that.
Especially when it's a big match-winning moment in the game, or it could be a match-defining moment, I should say, later on. Because obviously as it stands, it's an extra 2 points for Coventry, and if it doesn't, then Leicester could end up getting something out of it. But I think from Coventry's point of view, there was a talk about there being a little mini wobble, and while that may have been the case, I think because Coventry have started, I mean, stuff I've said before, really, but because Coventry have started so damn well to their season, I think they were always going to have a little bit of a not dip, that's the wrong word, but they were going to have a little spell of 2 or 3 games where they didn't win. But it was just a matter of keeping your heads and being able to respond. And I think that was a really important win for Coventry yesterday, not just because of the fact it's the M69 derby. There's that many bloody derbies under different names. I keep getting confused on which one's called what. But yes, obviously for Coventry, it's a huge win. Leicester, Cifuentes. Obviously, there's a lot of unrest still with the points deduction thing behind the scenes. There's a lot of unrest about the ownership. Is there starting to be more unrest about Marty Cifuentes' future, even though there will be problems above him, do you think?
I will say to that.
Well, Annie's point was so good that it's ended up cutting him off. While we were waiting for him, Stefan, what do you think of Cifuentes' future?
I would say to that, yeah, because even though it was against the league leaders, it was a game of 2 halves yesterday, because in the first half, Leicester were absolutely brilliant. They scored that goal with through James, but in the second half, they capitulated and allowed Coventry back into the match, and they ultimately went on to win. Now, if that doesn't start ringing alarm bells, I know it will for someone in our various chats, and he's probably really angry at him right now, and it wouldn't surprise me one jot. But ultimately, at the end of the day, football is a results business at the end of the day. And if you don't get a string of results, positive ones, then ultimately it will cost you your job, as we've seen with various managers in the Championship this season, and I think Cifuentes, it's a 50-50 for me whether he gets kept on or whether he gets sacked. It's 50-50.
I was just going to ask Andy to expand on the brilliant point that he made probably when his camera cut off. So
No, I
feel
swiped,
free to repeat the fantastic point you were about to make.
Yeah, come on, Andy.
swiped my mouse thingy over my laptop.
Your laptop was determined for you not to make your point.
Yeah. What was I saying?
Something about Cifuentes.
These group of players have been sort of the same group of players that have sort of failed, really, I'd say, under this current regime that Leicester have at the minute, and have really struggled to match expectations. And at some point, I think the Leicester fans have done that for ages, actually. You've got to look at the players, and it's Brendan Rodgers, but it was Brendan Rodgers, who was it? Dean Smith, Enzo Maresca, Steve Cooper, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and now Marty Cifuentes, and it's been a sort of steady stream of did I say Steve Cooper? I think I did. It's been a steady stream of managers who've just constantly failed, and not constantly failed. Enzo Maresca didn't fail, but the rest of them was a bit.
It's not been good since Maresca's left, has it?
No, exactly. And even the relegation from the Premier League the first time out, some of the players are still there, and it's that sort of bad smell that's still hanging about. And Leicester don't know what can they do? Can't just get rid of those players like that. But that there's one variable in all of this, and it's those players, and they've been kept around. Maybe their sell-by date has gone by at Leicester, and something needs to change in that direction.
Yeah, I would agree, and I've been saying this for weeks about various teams, but I think for Leicester this month, in fact, the next 10 to 12 days are going to be really key, whether they can get fresh blood in to...
They're probably under some
the
sort
squad.
of business plan, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the way that these ownership regimes tend to work, is they have a plan and they stick to it, but clearly this plan has had its expiry date most probably ever since Leicester got relegated back to the Championship. In fact, I would even go back further than that. Most probably 10 years ago it expired after they won the brilliant Premier League season. But because usually if you win something that big and you don't sustain it for the following seasons, then that's the club starting to go on the downward spiral. And I think Leicester need to do something, whether it's at ownership level, managership level, player level, I don't know what, because I'm not the owner, but we need to do something rather drastically, or we're going to have a rather spectacular fall from grace within the next 3 seasons.
Yeah, they're in real danger. They're in real danger of going on a further downward trajectory than they already are if they're not careful. But I was going back to the point before we move on to the next game that the point about you both made about the players, and I actually think it's fair. I'm looking through Leicester's squad here, and again, I know it's on paper because nothing is won on paper, obviously. But I'm looking at Ben Nelson, who I thought was really good at Oxford last season, so he's really good in the Championship, has proven to be. Harry Souttar's in there, Ricardo Pereira, Yannick Vestergaard, Jordan James, Harry Winks, Hamza Chowdhury, Oliver Skipp, Aaron Ramsey on loan from Burnley, and then you look at some of the forward options. Okay, I know Ant doesn't rate him, but Patson Daka's in there, Bobby Reid, Navididi, Fatawu, Jordan Ayew in there too. At some point, really this group of players, for it to be like, what is it, 13th in the Championship, and to be, this is the weird thing, they're only 6 points off the playoffs though, but again, it's because the lack of consistency of pretty much most teams above them. But at the minute, and the other point we've got to mention is the points deduction, which again, like we've said before, has still not been resolved yet. So if that points deduction, it might have been Annie, I think, who said it before, that actually there's a possibility they could be looking towards the relegation battle. And I look at Stefan's background; that looks really exotic. Yes, I think if they get deducted, even say 10 points, for example, and they're in a relegation scrap, pretty much. So. Yeah, there's a dark cloud hanging over Leicester, and obviously, the better. As soon as something's done, the better. Even just for clarity, then they can move forward on what they absolutely need to do. But let's move on. Let's move on to the. Coventry, of course, keep their lead at the top of the table, and of course, the team that continues to be second, albeit the team below them has a game in hand, is Middlesbrough. I don't know if any of you watched this game on Friday night. West Brom 2, Middlesbrough 3. Yeah, let's just say I think for the opening 40 minutes, it was one where I think both teams were trying to get a foothold in the game and were trying to sort of figure it out, really. Charlie Taylor's own goal is, it's one of those that's really unfortunate from his perspective, but it obviously puts Borough 1-0 ahead. I forgot to mention, obviously, it's Eric Ramsey's first game in charge of West Brom, since obviously part of the company was Ryan Mason since we last did the show. So they went 1-0 at half time. Sam Silvera then, of course, puts a really good finish, actually, that puts them 2-0 up right before the hour mark, and then it looked, and from there I thought Borough actually were cruising to a large extent. But then this is funny how goals can change games, and Isaac Price's pretty good free kick, but 15 minutes to go, obviously sparked what you thought might have been a West Brom comeback when Jed Wallace then equalised 5 minutes later to make it 2-2. And it's funny then because then Borough looked all at sea, but then of course this is the Championship, so something always has to happen very peak late on. And I believe loose Bristol City target Bergsorg, just to mention Bristol City in there for Annie's sake.
But fully in talks with him. Yeah. Fully in talks with him.
Hey, Tommy Conway, take your pick. Yeah, exactly. But fair play to Bergsorg, 90th minute winner, and I can only imagine how much those limbs in the away end at Borough would have been. It was something special, as it should be when your team scores in the 90th minute. And I don't know what you two think, but I think that's a huge. Whether Borough finished top 2 or not, I still have my doubts. Yeah. But that's a big tick in the box for Borough because you're 2-0 up, you come back to 2-2 at a team who's got a new bounce off their new head coach's first game. To respond from that and go and win it in the 90th minute, and West Brom should be quite a difficult place to go actually anyway. Yeah. I think that's real. I think that could be a result that could be really key for Borough come the end of the season.
Those extra 2 points that they got with that win could be really pivotal as to where they finish, whether it's top or second or third or whatever. Those extra 2 points could really sort of define Middlesbrough's strengths and Middlesbrough's season. And as you say, I think the Hawthorns has always been a difficult place to go. And you can tell why I'm wearing headphones.
Your dog clearly agrees, Stefan. I like it.
Yeah, you can tell why I've got the headphones on tonight, guys.
That's fine. Don't worry, mate. Don't worry.
So, the Hawthorns has always been a difficult place to go, in my estimation. And I think to go there, show the character that Middlesbrough did with the comeback of West Brom, it just epitomises the Championship really in one fell swoop for me, because me and you were settling down to watch it. I watched the whole game, I know you watched the game, and it turned out to be a cracking last 20-25 minutes in the end.
Yeah, especially when, from a neutral point of view, the last 20-25 minutes was great because it looked before then like it was going to be a routine Borough victory, but obviously, like I've said before, it's peak Championship in the last 20 minutes. I'll quickly ask Annie his opinion. What do you think for Eric Ramsey being appointed at West Brom on the flip side?
We obviously know nothing about him.
I more mean what he's walked into.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because I saw the team sheet for West Brom. I saw Mikey Johnston at right wing back, and I was like, "What's going on here?" And I was like, "That's got to be a mistake." And then I see after the game like the comments and the reviews from Albion fans and like talking about the game. Mikey Johnston was playing right wing back, and it was genuinely like, what's going on here? He's sort of one of your best attacking players, and you're deploying him. He's not even a right hand sided player. He's a left hand sided player. He's been used at right wing back, and that's a bit like, really? I mean, that didn't end well. I mean, apparently Eric Ramsey's sort of really big on set pieces and stuff like that, and his Minnesota side were sort of set piece masters of the MLS or whatever. But I didn't really see that. I suppose on Friday night, I think that's a good platform to build on. Middlesbrough, a good side, really competitive against them at the Hawthorns. They have lost 7 and 8 though, and that is back-to-back games where they've lost it in the sort of 90th minute onwards, which is in the league anyway, which is not ideal. So, look, I think that West Brom squad is good. They're only 4 points above the relegation zone, which is, the tide is rising. Pompey won yesterday. Norwich won yesterday. Oxford got a point. Teams are moving. Charlton won. The teams are moving up. So West Brom have got to be careful. But I do think there's enough quality in that squad, and I do think if Eric Ramsey's competent enough, he'll get West Brom back into mid-table and well away from danger.
I would agree with that. I would agree. So let's get on to the last. Well, I was going to say last of the top 3, but again, the league's that bloody tight that you can never rule anyone out. Let's go through the other 12:30 kickoffs. Let's start at Portman Road. So the Sammy Smodics derby, just to invent another random derby name that's probably totally pointless. But Ipswich, of course, would have probably seen Middlesbrough win that and go, they would have seen, get it, it's 2-2. Oh no, Borough won it in the last minute, didn't they? Obviously, it's still in Ipswich's hands because they have a game in hand, which I believe is away at Portsmouth. I don't know when that's going to be rescheduled for.
Their February is horrible because they've got Wrexham away twice in a week, and they've got 5 away games in about 2 or 3 weeks. It's not 2 weeks. That's ridiculous.
I was just going to say, it's a couple of weeks away. I've just seen.
Their run is horrible. Not necessarily in terms of fixture difficulty, but just generally
congestion.
Fixture congestion, the travel they're going to have, the minimal recovery time is going to be crazy. So you do look at them and you go, okay, they have a game in hand, but Pompey away's not easy. If they had a full weeks of rest, to then play Pompey away, you fancy them a little bit more, but it's in the middle of all of that congestion. It's just painful, isn't it? I
was going to say, so after they play Preston on the 31st of January, for context, right? So they play Preston Saturday, 31st of January. Yeah, then it's Portsmouth away, then a few days later, Derby away, which also isn't easy. Then obviously Wrexham twice. Wrexham obviously despite yesterday, Wrexham is a very bloody hard place to go. Watford away, Javi Garcia coming back, and then obviously Swansea. So, okay, we'll see what happens by the end of next month and see what happens. But yeah, as for this game, I'll start with Annie on this one. I don't know what you think it looks. Do you think that the results, do you think that the performance from Ipswich, based on what you saw, just made the scoreline look about accurate? Think it looked as comfortable as the scoreline implied it was?
Yeah, it looked routine, didn't it? I mean, there have been games where for Ipswich this season where they've sort of got ahead and then made it a little bit tricky for themselves, or not necessarily got the result over the line. But this one, they got a couple of goals early on. Aaron Cashin gets an own goal. His start at Blackburn hasn't been great. There we go. And obviously he then what happens? Jack Taylor scores a goal. What happens after that? They just kill the game off. Then they've got the quality in the bench to just keep moving and add star power onto the pitch. Jane Philogene went off injured in the first half, but you've got Jack Clark.
No problem, Jack Clark.
Yeah, it's just what you're competing with, and Blackburn, unfortunately, who are down there in the.
You're trying to act like the echo's not off.
Yeah. I'm trying to act like I can't hear my voice twice.
What?
What I was going to say was, I can't remember.
Was it something to do with Blackburn? I think it was.
This is really distracting me.
Hang on. Whose echoes? Whose end is that echo coming from?
Stefan. He's just taking his headphones off.
Hang on. Try mute.
You mute yourself, Michael.
Sorry?
You mute yourself. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I did. That was the whole point. I was trying to see if it was anything on my end.
No.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan, mate.
Cheers. What was I saying? Right.
Yeah, it was something to do that. Was it Blackburn, you think, probably caught Ipswich at the wrong time?
Yeah, and Ipswich have got 44 points in the last 22 games. That's nearly half a season, and they've got what is it, 2 points per game. So they're automatic promotion form for a little while now, and they're sort of this. I think we've got to stop trying to compare Ipswich, and I'm guilty of it as well because I've been saying this the whole time. Oh, when they click. I think we're not going to see that Ipswich from 2 years ago when they were in the Championship, when they were free flowing. Leif Davis high up the pitch, Connor Chaplin edge of the box, George Hurst or Kiefer Moore or Nathan Broadhead or whoever it was. I don't think we'll see that sort of Ipswich with Morsey and Luongo in the middle. I don't think we'll see that Ipswich. I think we'll see an Ipswich that's hard to beat. And I think we'll see an Ipswich that's very good at keeping the ball. Kiyeste and Matasiva in midfield are an outstanding pair for this division. I do not know how Jens Kiyeste is in this division, to be honest. He should not be playing in Championship football, but there we go. So, yeah, and you just look at the star power they have off the bench and they can just score goals like that. And they don't need to create abundance of chances to go and score goals. And when you've got the sturdiness of a Dara O'Shea, a Cedric Kipre, and if they're not, available for whatever reason, a Jacob Greaves, and then you've got an abundance of options. A right back, Leif Davis, at left back, who's obviously probably one of the best, if not the best, left back in the league, full back in the league. They just need to be solid, and if they can be solid, they're going to score goals. If they just, be a little bit, what they're doing right now, I think is fine. You remember what Sheffield United did under Paul Heckingbottom, where teams would set up against them in a way where they'd be happy to let Sheffield United have the ball and try not to concede. And Sheffield United just made sure they were hard to beat and had Njai, had McBurney, had some outstanding players, Ollie Norwood, George Bulldog, Ender Stevens, John Egan. They had quality litter throughout that team and they just got over the line. And Sander Berger, I think, was in that division as well, which is, how is he playing in the Championship?
Tommy Doyle was on loan at them as well, I believe.
Tommy Doyle, yeah. James McAtee, yeah, that would be one as well. So they'd they give me sort of that sort of vibes where it's not going to be flashy, it's not going to be sort of this free flowing football again. So alternatively to that Ipswich team 2 years ago, but I think it's going to be an Ipswich team that's effective. It's a well-oiled machine. It's still the same manager. And he's proven to be a little bit adaptable, McKenna, and it's a very different expectation we can expect from Ipswich now. So, yeah, they're a fantastic, well-oiled machine if they can just keep rolling. And then, who's asked if they're pretty and flashy if they can get results? Who cares?
Well, that's the main goal.
Second place.
Well, I was going to say the ultimate goal is to get promoted. And I think the difference between Ipswich now, as opposed to 2 years ago, is more the fact that when teams set up against them 2 years ago, there was not the expectation on Ipswich. And they go, oh, well, they've just come up from League One, we'll have a go against them. And therefore, if Ipswich were solid enough 2 years ago, which most times are not, they obviously were, they were able to go and pick teams off really with the quality that they did have. Whereas now, because teams are setting up against them as they're treating them as a year one parachute team, which basically means that they obviously are going to have the more. Sorry, Stefan, you might mute yourself again, mate. So was quite? Is this? Yeah, but no. What I was going to say was, I think with Ipswich, because they've obviously got the onus on them to attack teams and have a go at them, with the quality that they do obviously have, as a year one parachute side, they've obviously had to adapt to that different expectation and the way teams set up against them. And I think McKenna deserves a lot of credit for the way that he has dealt with that. It took time. It's not been faultless. It has took time for them and a bit of stumbling blocks for them to really sort of get to grips with everything. But generally, they're pretty much getting on the way there. And I think, like I said before, I think down the line, I still think it'll be Ipswich who get second. But for Borough's sake, it'd be nice to see if Borough could get into the top two and it's like a non-parachute payment top two. But you never know. We'll see on that one. Anyway, let's get on to the last of the 12. I think it was the last 12:30 kickoff of yesterday's action. So obviously we have the team that is currently within, I think this might have been a top of the table clash effectively. Let me just double check that. Yes, it would have been. So, so we had obviously Watford, Javi Garcia's Watford hosting Alex Neil's Millwall. Stefan, I'll come to you, mate. I think that especially given Watford's form under Garcia. Sorry, that's a very impressive win from Millwall.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Millwall against Watford actually, because Watford let's be honest, they've been on an upward trajectory over the last couple of weeks. But as we've said, no team within the top 6 is out this season. Any team in the top 6 can be a mess out. I don't know why there's an echo. I am trying to fix it.
Yeah, don't worry.
I don't know why. So any team, and Millwall have been very, very difficult to play against this season. And to me, it's just no surprise that they're doing so well. No surprise at all. And I think they're going to be in and around the playoffs come May. I think they're going to have okay January. I mean, to me, if it ain't broke, you don't really need to fix it. Yeah, you could maybe add a few and strengthen up your squad. But other than that, Millwall's doing good. In my eyes, anyway.
I think they're doing very well.
They're doing fantastically.
Absolutely. And I think when it comes to someone like Alex, been in this league multiple times, knows what it's about. He is able to make some very solid gaps that they all need. I've seen that there is some Sunderland good from Anthony Patterson, and I think if they manage to get hold of him, I think that's going to be cracking. Because I think Anthony Patterson's a very top end championship sort of player. Stephanie, yourself again, mate. If that's okay. Yeah, thanks, mate. Sorry. No, I think Anthony Patterson's a solid top-end championship goalkeeper, so we'll see whether that gets over the line first. I think Sunderland will probably want another number 2 in there, because I don't think we fancy Simon Moore being number 2 in the Premier League, bless him, even though he is important behind the scenes. But I think Anthony Patterson needs to go out and get some games. So if they bring him in, I wouldn't be surprised if they do get him in, because Alex Neil knows him, trusts him, obviously. So, but yeah, and obviously, given Watford's how they've been under Javi Garcia since his second spell started, yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry about really from a Watford persuasion, but more just to credit how good that win was for Millwall.
Yeah, because I think they've had the biggest unbeaten streak in the league lately, anyway. So it's a massive statement from Millwall, isn't it? It's a big
especially
statement.
Away from home, yeah.
Yeah. They do have a good record at the at Vicarage Road, especially for late. I remember Andres Voglasama goal, maybe. That's a name. But yeah, it's a cracking win from Millwall, and they're a good side. They're what you'd expect from a typical Millwall team. I don't want to say that's
You don't want to go stereotypical Millwall.
Yeah. But we've come up against them twice. I wasn't particularly sort of flabbergasted by them, and I didn't think, oh my god, this is a seriously good team. But I thought they're efficient, they're effective, they're good at what they do. They've got some core competences which they're fantastic at, and they just execute them to perfection, and they do everything right. Alex Neil's added that layer of sort of intricacy within the football, but they've had to cope with so many injuries as well, which we've got to remember. I mean, some key players have been out for a long time, and Millwall have just carried on, and they've taken advantage of a little bit of an inconsistent top 2, and have kept themselves within touching distance of it. And they sat in 4th, which is a really nice position to be. And whilst everyone else around them sort of been a little bit inconsistent, Millwall have been nice and consistent. They win games. They're good at set pieces. They've got a really efficient way of playing, and they've got a good manager, Alex Neil. So they're a good team. Javi Gracia, look, I think Watford are going to be a threat. I think this is probably a game between two sides who'll be either in the top 6 potentially, or maybe not both of them, but definitely one. I think definitely one of them finish in the top 6. And yeah, 2 teams are going to be right up there. So fantastic statement win from Millwall, and they've done the double over Watford, which is another team they've done the double over in that pack, us included. So that those 6 points against a team like Watford and a team like Bristol City going to be so crucial. In a tight, congested playoff picture, if you can get points off teams around you, that's going to be massive. So yeah, huge win for Millwall.
Absolutely. And I would. And okay, here's my early shout. Right, as if Ipswich, for example, gets, let's say it's currently Ipswich top 2, and I'm thinking way ahead here, so this could be totally wrong. But I wouldn't be totally shocked if Millwall were the team that won the playoffs, purely because of who the head coach is. He's won the playoffs, I think, at least, including his time in Scotland with Hamilton 3 times, I believe, in his managerial, career. But it's a long way to go. We'll see how Millwall. We'll see what Millwall add. But I think Millwall will be a good shout for me. And actually,
you'd fancy them as a playoff team, wouldn't you? Because if they finish 3rd or 4th,
what was the statistic apparently that if you finish 3rd or 4th, you're much more likely than 5th or 6th to get promoted, basically.
Forget that for a second. You are correct. Forget that for a second. Imagine a second leg home game at the Den. I mean, that would just be...
Especially if they go into it in a good position, even if they just don't lose the first... Or even if they lost the first leg by a goal at worst. Or if they got a draw in the first leg or a win, Yeah, I'm with you. I think I would be... Put it this way. If Millwall finished, say, 4th, for example, whoever finishes 5th, I would not fancy facing Millwall over 2 legs.
Because if you'd expect a team who maybe 5th or 6th coming up against Millwall in a second leg at the Den, you'd expect that team to be a little bit more inconsistent, probably worse than Millwall over the course of the 46-game season. And they're coming up against a team in Millwall. It'd just be so sort of chaotic and so difficult to play against. So, yeah, we're getting way.
Yeah, obviously they need to finish in there first. But I would love, as for once, because obviously Sunderland, for those who don't know, obviously Sunderland, I think in the last 5 of the last 7 or 8 seasons we've been involved in the playoffs. So for once, it's going to be quite nice to sit and go, right, let's see the playoffs unfold and carnage-wise, and not be stressed about it for a change. But yes, I'm with you. I can totally see the Den at Millwall being a cracking atmosphere, first or second leg, but especially second. But anyway, let's move on. So the next game on it features another parachute payment team, but a couple of players that clearly fancied an early bath in this game. Yes. I'll go to Stefan for this one. Charlton 1, Sheffield United 0. Samari and Tanganga, what were they both thinking?
I have no idea. Is that better now with the mic, guys?
Yes, I think we're okay.
See, if you sign out and sign back in, it works.
You remind me, you're the IT crowd guy when it goes, hello, IT, have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah.
You tried signing out and in again?
I have no idea what those two were thinking, but I actually thought that it was a very scrappy game from what I seen on the old highlights program. For some reason, and I don't often say this, but I just thought that was very, very scrappy, and I thought, needless to say, the actual highlights package wasn't a very long one at all, apart from the 2 red cards. There was, to me, there was nothing in that game. And I get what Nathan Jones was saying at the end, but it's just so, what's the word? Elongated. It was dragged out. I just didn't think it had its usual championship finesse and flair, and apart from the 2 red cards, obviously, but I actually found that game quite boring to watch. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think if you're a fan of either of these 2 teams, given the chaos of the game, I don't think you would find it quite as boring. But I would say that from the highlights, it looked like Sheffield United had a couple of really good chances, 11v11. So I think Charlton were... Yeah, and I think Nathan Jones even said it pretty much, that actually they had a couple of really good chances and overran them, in his own words. That was the word he used in the interviews after the game. Controlled things, and I think you're showing yourself up as... Sorry, rephrase that. Showing your strength as a year 2 parachute team versus a team that was come up from League One. But Annie, I've got to say, from Charlton's point of view, obviously Charlton had a bit of a dip recently, and there were concerns about them going down. And obviously there is still concerns there because they're 5 points above the bottom 3, I think. I'll double check the table as I'm looking. Yes, 5 points currently above the bottom 3. But I've said before, and I stand by it, that I think the Valley will produce enough results from here to keep Charlton up. I could be wrong. And I think Nathan Jones has got too much fire in the belly. I think it is. I think the Valley. I've said before. I've said since the start of the season. Whether people like, I know a lot of people don't like Nathan Jones, but as a character, if he's your gaffer, you back him. For me, I think, if you know what I mean. I think the players will. He will certainly have the respect of the players. And there's another thing. They've done the double over Sheffield United, which is something I bet if you told them at the start of the season they're going to do the double over them, given what the expectation for Sheffield United was, that would be insane. But that was hugely important for Charlton, I think.
Maybe you're biting your hand off at that, I think, at the start of the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they've signed a couple of players, haven't they? They've signed Harry Clark and they've signed Lyndon Dykes, 2 players with a lot of championship experience. Particularly Lyndon Dykes has been around a while. Harry Clark less so, but still part of a successful team.
Got it, because I wanted Lyndon Dykes up in Scotland, but there you go.
Yeah, and he got the assist. He got the assist for Charlton's goal. So yeah. They're clearly willing to back Nathan Jones, the hierarchy over at Charlton. And why wouldn't you? I mean, they've had such a big rise recently. I mean, this is a Charlton setup that was nowhere near it. They're sort of dwindling in League One and sort of staring League Two in the face, and turned them around completely, Nathan Jones, and that's the sort of effect he normally can have on clubs. Stoke and Southampton fans will say otherwise, but. Yeah, he's a very good guy. He's a really good manager. Exactly, the players know exactly what they want, what they sort of what to expect from Nathan Jones is what I meant to say. And yeah, it's a good win, but they need to get into 9 men, and Charlton could have easily been 1-0 down, 2-0 down within half an hour of that game. And from what I saw, when you play against 9 men, you're obviously going to have a lot more of the ball than they used to. Charlton are not comfortable with having a lot of the ball, and in a lot of games this season, they won't have a lot of the ball or majority possession in games, and that's fine. But when the onus is on you to go and create those chances, have Charlton got the ability? Have Charlton got the creativity? Have Charlton got the nous to break teams down? And I'm not sure they actually do. Okay, they're not comfortable doing that because they've been this high pressing counter attacking team under Nathan Jones for the longest time. But it's just that adaptability and flexibility that you're going to get in the Championship. And if teams, some managers these days don't really, good managers will just go, all right, if you're not comfortable with having the ball, we'll just let you have the ball and try and break us down, and we'll hit you on the counter attack. We don't have to stick to our game plan or whatever. We'll just change up a little bit, and that's where they'll cause Charlton problems. And if Charlton are not going to create chances whilst having a lot of the ball and trying to break teams, as I just said, well, it's not going to be particularly effective. But that's still a 1-0 win. That's still a win over a Sheffield United side who have been in cracking form recently. They've been top of the form table for the past sort of 10 odd games. So, yeah, big win for Charlton, and they needed that. So that's a win against Oxford and a win against Sheffield United, both in the Valley. So, yeah, brilliant win from Charlton. But the performance still needs to improve. Nathan Jones said himself, they'll get better. So, watch the space.
I like that phrase, watch this space. I think, for me, I think if you're looking at a team trying to stay up, I think probably around the 50-point mark is a good target to aim for first and then go from there. So to do that, Charlton would need to get 18 points from 20 games. So I think there will be enough about. I do agree with you. I think obviously recent performances for Charlton, obviously, maybe it's just the fact that the pace of the Championship and the quality of the Championship, because we've got to remember, Charlton have been in League One a few years before this. So it's a case of them maybe having to adjust to the step up. But generally, I don't think they've done that badly at it. They just need to keep themselves above water and just keep getting results, especially at home if they can. Obviously, that sounds captain obvious there, but you know what I mean. And for Sheffield United, I mean, there's not much more to say on them. The fact that the game significantly altered when they went down to 9 men or 10 men, I suppose, let alone 9 men. Because obviously Sheffield United had the better of it comfortably at 0-0, and obviously we'll wait and see. And I still wouldn't bet against Sheffield United making a search for the top 6 if they have a good January. But we'll see how that pans out. Right, let's get to Deepdale next. So yeah, an away win for John Eustace and Derby County. I'll go to you, Stefan, for this one. Preston 0, Derby 1. Now is it Agyemang? Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Pronunciations, like I said,
well done. That was good.
Agyemang, maybe.
Can I just call him Patrick Starfish instead?
I'll give you it, Adjumang.
Go on then,
Yeah.
you say it then. Go on then, take me through that. His goal that obviously won the game that won. Okay then, you take me through it. The game that his goal that won the game for Derby at Preston, which is a great win by the way, given their how good Preston have been.
A fantastic win for Derby to go to Preston, to go to Deepdale and manage to break down a Paul Higginbottom side which has been very difficult to beat in recent weeks and months probably, because as we all know, Higginbottom teams are really difficult to beat. And what a goal it was too from Derby. There was some nice build-up play to the goal, and what a finish from Adjumang to score the winning goal that got Derby the 3 points against a top 16. So again, as we always say in this week for this season, if you string a couple of wins together, you're not out the chase. Not by a long shot. And I think Derby are going to do just fine for the rest of the season. And who knows, if they can string a couple of wins together, 2, 3, 4 wins, whatever, they could easily make a top 6 push.
Absolutely, they're only 5 points. Let me double check that. Yeah, 5 points off Preston. So it shows how important the win was. I remember for the start of the season at Derby, Annie, I felt like there was a bit more expectation on with it being John Eustace's first full season in charge there, and some of the players they signed as well. You got to remember Rian Brewster, Brent Diaz, and Carlton Morris being just 3 of them alone. Like there was there's a bit more expectation on Derby, but I think that slowly but surely they could that be them starting to turn the corner? Do you think?
Michael, you've got to remember at the start of the season they had a boatload of injuries. I mean,
absolutely.
The starting 11 they put out to what they're putting out now is completely unrecognisable. Obviously, Carlton Morris is now injured as well. Imagine Carlton Morris and Aguiman together up top. I mean, that would just be brilliant. And Brewster and Brent Diaz is picking up form as well. So, yeah, they signed a load of players. Yes, they had a load of injuries. Yes, those new players that they signed have taken a little bit of time to get going. So, yeah, we know Eustace is a good manager. I mean, we know what he's like. He's at championship level. He's fantastic, and he's proven that before Birmingham, Blackburn, etc. Even Derby last season. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great win for Derby, and just I'm not particularly surprised. I'm surprised North End have lost at home because North End have been so consistent at home. Particularly Deepdale. But yeah, that's a cracking win for Derby. That and Aguiman, again, I mean, he's just fantastic. He's brilliant. What a signing he's been, and Derby spent a lot on him in the summer. They backed him quite heavily, but it's proving to be quite a good getting returns from it. And even without Carlton Morris getting goals, and Aguiman is providing them for sure.
And what do you think for Preston?
Yeah, they need help. Heckingbottom needs help in the transfer window, doesn't he? Because they've let go of Harrison Armstrong. They've let go of Stefan Dordarsson, so that's 2 midfielders out the door. They need some help in that department. That's for sure. They probably need someone up top to help because Michael Smith at the moment isn't cutting it for those North End supporters. So yeah, they do need a little bit of help. They're in a great position, aren't they, Preston? I mean, they're in a great position to propel, to go and launch. And this sort of defeat is an outlier, as we've seen from what so far this season anyway, and probably for the rest of the season. They are generally a very, very good side, solid side at Deepdale. So yeah, I won't be too concerned for Preston North End at the minute, but they just need. I think Heckingbottom, he said it bluntly after the game, very frank about it. They need help in the transfer department. They need to go out and back Heckingbottom basically. It's as simple as that for Preston. If they want to have any chance of sustaining this top six push and actually get in there, they need to be more consistent and back Heckingbottom.
Yeah, and there should be a recruiting from a position of real strength as well, compared to what they've obviously been used to having over the last number of years. So it'd be nice for them to actually see something. Well, okay, last season they were obviously in a relegation battle, but I mean, like, and not to dig Bristol City out here, but these were the two clubs that were known for like just being 11th and 12th every year, more or less. So for Preston, I think that'd be nice for them to actually, while they're in a position of challenging for the playoffs, especially considering that apart from Ipswich, the parachute payment sides have not looked up to it at all. I think this is the chance for them to really push and have a go for it, and especially for someone like Paul Heckenbottom.
To be fair, even last year, sorry, Michael, even last year, at this point, Preston were mid-table because they had a really bad ending to last season, if you remember, and they sort of plummeted down the league.
Yeah, they did.
So that was obviously combined with that FA Cup run they had last season. I think got to the quarterfinals potentially.
Yeah, it was quarterfinals to Aston Villa, wasn't it?
Yeah, Villa. So yeah, I mean, all of that has to be factored in. So even last season, where they were properly sort of mid-table again. So yeah, this is a unique position for North End where they've not really been in for the longest time.
And I think they've been managing themselves reasonably well financially as well in terms of their business with PSR. So there's not really any position. So we'll wait and see. I wonder whether they're waiting for, and I think a lot of Championship clubs will be doing this, to wait to see if there's any big Premier League loans that become available that they can afford that could be game changers and difference makers. That's what I was meant to say when I got my words out. We shall see. Hopefully for Preston fans' sake that they do actually back Heckenbottom, and I think he's deserved it after the work he's done there so far this season, and probably last season to some extent when he's had to adapt to a team that was playing, Ryan Lowe's style of football, had to adapt to it really well, and obviously he's kind of carried that on this season. Let's get over to Hillsborough. So I keep saying this over and over again. I'm running out of things to say on Sheffield Wednesday. I think the status quo really hasn't changed that much in terms of get the end of the season. They need to make sure they get their ownership situation sorted ahead of League One. As I said, the fan base has been through a lot. We know they deserve way better than this. But I think for this game, Stefan, I think this is probably, you've got to say that it's an important win for Portsmouth. Yeah, okay, maybe it was a game they expected to win, or one of the few games they would have expected to win. But you have to nevertheless go out and win it, and it was important that they did that.
Yeah, and I think I totally agree with you, Michael. I'm running out of things to say for Sheffield as well, other than the fact we just have to get through this season, get through the remaining weeks, and then rebuild next season in League One. But as you say, you have to go and win a game of football. And pretty much every team that I think goes to Hillsborough now or has Sheffield Wednesday coming to their patch will think 3 points because this team's going down because of what's happened off the pitch. But taking nothing away, they are trying to fight on the pitch. We do give teams a game, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the home or the away side is going to win, regardless of who Sheffield Wednesday are playing. And it was a really big 3 points for Pompey. Really big 3 points in the context of their season as to where they are in the championship table. It reflects on them, and if memory serves correct, they're 21st. So they needed
Yes, they're 21st, 1 point above. Sorry to interrupt you. They're 21st, 1 point above Norwich with 2 games in hand, and 5 points clear of 23rd place Oxford with a game in hand.
Yeah. Now, they needed this win because it puts them level on points with Blackburn. Now, I don't know Portsmouth's run of fixtures for the later half of this month, going into next month. But they've got to be looking at the likes of Blackburn and West Bromwich as their next targets to chase down, to really make sure that they get away from the proverbial trap door of the relegation places.
Yeah, and I think as well they need to keep themselves above Norwich. I think having 2 games in hand is helpful with them, but it'll only be helpful as long as they get results in those games in hand. Okay, albeit one of them is against Ipswich, to be fair, but we'll see what happens when they do come to that. I think personally as well, I think maybe Charlton is one they need to look at realistically chasing down, because I think I'd still struggle to
Yeah.
see where. But then again, I said this about Norwich. I didn't say Norwich would still be down here, and they are. So Sheffield United, West Brom, at the minute, I struggle to see them being in really down there when it comes to the crunch end of the season. Norwich, I think under Philippe Clement, okay, there's the Josh Sargent saga. We'll get to that when we get to where Wrexham Norwich. But I would imagine even despite that, you got McCarmer, who's starting to really deliver up front for Norwich, and Clement really getting improved performances out of them. Sorry, Stefan, I know you probably don't want to hear that, but yes, they are seriously improving under Clement, and I think it's going to be a fascinating one. But yes, for Pompey, that was a game you simply had to win. Otherwise, I think there would have been quite big concerns really coming into the period coming up, even though there is still a lot of games to play. But let's move on to St. Mary's. Annie, what do you think on this one? So we have Hull beating Southampton. Now, on the one hand, I'm on two minds about this. On the one hand, that is a fantastic win for Hull. But on the other hand, I can't get a handle on Southampton at all. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, I think sort of simplistic, but they were really good. Southampton, they're really good in that caretaker period under Ton Drecker. And then
in case he gets appointed permanently, then it all goes to shit.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the stats are.
Not just him; it happens to everybody. I've noticed this.
Sorry, I've just got the AFCON final in the background, and they've just got a penalty in the last minute. Morocco, it's craziness. So sorry.
James Dean Telby taking it. Let's have a look.
Don't think he's on the pitch, Telby.
It's annoying that he's gone there. He's not even playing. Right, I'll not make it about Sunderland. Sorry, go on. Continue.
That is not a penalty. Christ. Sorry. That is mental. Really distracted.
Thank you to everyone who stuck with us talking about Africa Cup of Nations.
Really distracted myself there. I'm sure most people will be watching it in the background anyway. Yeah, they've appointed Eckert permanently, and then ever since then they've properly tailed off significantly. And we thought Southampton would push, and they were sort of within touching distance of the playoffs. I think they were 8th at one point, and then we thought, okay, now is where they go and really put their foot down. Yeah, put their foot down in there and get into those playoff positions, but they didn't. And they've tailed off, and they've lost to a playoff. They've lost to someone. They lost a team in the playoffs in Hull. So, yeah, let's flip it. What a win for Hull! What a win that is! That is unbelievable. So ignore where Southampton are on the table, but
not Hull's problem.
Just winning at St Mary's is not impressive enough in itself. So, yeah, cracking win for Hull, and they've deserved it, but we've come to expect that from Hull this season. They're a bit open. Yeah, they can see, probably a few too many goals, but they score so many. They score a lot of goals. So, yeah, you've got, I think the second goal, no, it's the first goal where Carl Joseph scores, and it's a bit of a gift, isn't it? And it's Alex McCarthy, and it's all a bit of a mess, and it pops in by Carl Joseph, but still, it's a brilliant win for Hull, and they look like they're about to sign a Bristol City winger, Yuhiro Okawa, on loan as well. So that's another addition to that front line they're going to have. So yeah, cracking win for Hull, and they're probably another team. Again, this is a very different scenario to Preston, but because they're obviously Hull are under transfer embargo and still have restrictions on players and stuff, and can't pay loan fees or any fees. So they did really well in the summer to negate that, but they need some help. I think Jurkovic does need a little bit in that department. So yeah, apparently they're signing Yuhiro Okawa from us on loan, and Toby Collier from Man United on loan as well. So yeah, some couple of loan additions, and that's what you need, because permanent additions in January obviously so much more difficult. That much more difficult when you're under transfer embargo. So loan additions, when you can do it, is going to be crucial, and short-term additions, even the best teams in the league do it. So if you can, help Jurkovic out, because he's got Hull in a fantastic position. Who expected this from Hull, by the way? Who expected this? I think I had them in the bottom 3. So yeah, fair play to Serhaj Jurkovic. He's been brilliant.
Do you know what? You've just reminded me of that. What was it? That little clip from Paul Rudd. He goes, "Who expected that? Not us. Not us. Hey, look at us. Not me. Who expected that? Not me." But no, I've got to quickly mention this to Hull, and I think Hull fans would want to hear this, that they've got some great wins away from home in recent times, in the last couple of months. They've beaten, obviously, Southampton away yesterday. They went and won at the Riverside at the end of December, and they won at the Den not long before Christmas. So that is huge for Hull, and it's a great way to build confidence for it. And another thing, okay, the other parachute teams haven't been great. They've done the double over Southampton. They've beaten Sheffield United. They've beaten Leicester. So I think there could be a lot of optimism there. And again, like with Preston, who they play on Tuesday night at Deepdale. That is going to okay. Something must have happened in the AFCON game, given Annie's reaction here, but we shall see it.
Senegal manager's just taking his players off because the penalty's been given. This is brilliant. This is brilliant entertainment. I'm listening to you, Michael, but
that's fine. No, that's fair enough. But Southampton obviously have their issues, but that is not Hull's problem. So fair play, you guys, for a great win. And I think again, like with Preston, recruit from a big position of strength here because why not? And especially after how last season panned out. Okay, ultimately they stayed up. I think this is going way better than a lot of Hull fans would have absolutely been expecting, certainly at the start of the season anyway. So yeah, fair play to Hull. What an amazing win that is. And yeah, Southampton, like I said, I can't get a handle on them. So the less said, the better, I suppose. Let's go to the Bet365 Stadium, and I'll come to you, Stefan, for this. So Stoke City 0. I cannot speak tonight. Stoke 0, QPR 0. What do you reckon for this? Who do you think that's a better result for? Or is it an okay result for both teams?
I would say it's all right for both teams. I mean, if I was going to pick a side, I would say Stoke, obviously just because of where we are on the table. And QPR has been on the upward trajectory of the last couple of weeks. So QPR will probably feel that it's 2 points drop towards a push for the playoffs. Because I know we were just outside the playoffs last time when we done the show 2 weeks ago. I think we weren't part of the playoffs at all. So QPR will definitely see this as 2 points drop. But again, it's Mark Robins' Stoke team, and we all know what Mark Robins done at Cov for nearly 8-9 years, whatever it was. So we all know that his teams are going to be difficult to beat, especially at the Bet365 stadium. So I think on the whole, QPR will be quite disappointed that they dropped that 2 points.
I think another thing to mention as well is Divin and Balmer on loan from Manchester City for Stoke. Obviously got stretched off with a suspected broken leg. So obviously you don't wish that on any player. So let's hope that he can recover as quickly as possible. And apparently the Senegal players are still hanging around on the sideline. I'm looking at the BBC match report here, so this is crazy stuff. But yeah, so
this is outrageous. What's going on here?
Sorry,
this is utterly brilliant viewing. Yeah, this is just brilliant. Yeah, sorry, keep going, Michael.
Clearly, I've got the wrong thing on with YouTube in the background. But yeah,
I'll get this streaming after this, guys. Yeah. So no spoilers.
No, fair enough. But yes, look, I think for QPR, that's an all right point. I think it's a solid point away at Stoke. I think Stoke obviously this season have been much improved under Mark Robins. I think Stoke will be the one who's more disappointed of the two, being at home not to have won it. But it keeps both teams in touching distance of the top six for me. I think QPR are only just 2 points below Stoke, who themselves are only 2 points below the playoffs. I think, if I've got that correct. Yes, whole QPR's on 30. Yeah, so it keeps both in touching distance. So I think there's worse results for both teams. Of course, if one can win, it's significant. It's more significant, but at least if you're in touch, you still got a chance of getting into the top six with how tight the league is. The last game we'll get onto before I have to make these two suffer talking about their teams. All right, Stefan, probably can talk about both then.
Can I just watch this instead?
Why doesn't Andy talk about Wrexham and then Stefan talks about Bristol City?
Can I talk about what's going on there instead, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. You want to after you've talked about Oxford 0, Bristol City 0, yeah. Right, the last one. Swansea 1, Birmingham City 1. Now, this was bizarrely a late kickoff in the Championship because obviously Nottingham Forest Arsenal was on the TNT coverage. So Sky thought, we'll not have one game on the main event. Sky game, we'll have two. Why not? Hang on, let me see if I get his name right. Yeah, Zanva Popnik, of course, finished a counter pressing movement really good for Swansea to put them ahead at half time. before a decent team move from Birmingham culminated in a goal by Patrick Roberts. And I'm so happy to see that he's doing well at Birmingham, actually. I'll come to Stefan again for actually, I'll tell you. Yes, no, I'll come to Andy for this one, so I'll make him suffer at the end. Swansea, what do you think for this result, for the 1-1 draw between Swansea and Birmingham? Don't worry, you can continue to keep looking at AFCON at what's going on in the penalties, for what's going on for the penalty that we are waiting to still get given.
God knows stuff.
Or wait to be taken.
That penalty is actually going to be given. What was I going to say? This is brilliant goal by Patrick Roberts. I mean,
yeah,
it's a sort of wafty flick by Marvin Dukes, and gets a hold of it. Patrick Roberts takes a little bit of time, but then finishes it very nicely. And when it goes on in off the underside of the bar, it's just aesthetically.
It always looks better when it goes in off the bar, doesn't it?
Yeah, aesthetically pleasing, isn't it? So, it's a fantastic finish from Roberts. And up until that point, Birmingham didn't really look like they were going to trouble. I was going to say Morocco then, but it's not Morocco. It's Swansea.
Birmingham fans awarded the penalty, like, are they?
It didn't really look like they were going to trouble Swansea up until that point. I don't think they had a shot on target. If they did, it was like a speculative one or something like that. And they could have won it after that as well, because that momentum really shifted. Funny what goals can do in games. Momentum really shifted, and they switched on Blues, and they got a hold of it. So, yeah, it's a good point in the end, because Swansea have been really good at home under Vitor Matos, and Birmingham have been terrible away from home all season. So, I'd say that's a good point for Birmingham, actually.
And what do you reckon from Swansea's perspective? Because obviously you've been the one that's kind of been pointing out about how Swansea. There's some concerns there to be had for Swansea.
Well, I think they have a good squad. I still think they have a really good squad, and I think they've been massively underperforming under Alan Sheehan. So they've obviously got better under Vitor Matos, and that style of play, that sort of transition to that style of play, to high pressing, high energy. He's straight out of a Jurgen Klopp book, isn't he? Vitor Matos. He worked under Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, so. Yeah, needed. That transition's happened quite nicely, and it's working a little bit, and it was in full effect against Birmingham. So yeah, great. It's good to see that sort of happening, and I didn't really have too many concerns about Swansea, if I'm being brutally honest with you, because I think their squad is too good.
How you phrase that? Now. Concerns over how they've been performing, given what they have at their disposal.
Yeah. No, that's true. Probably a little bit of concern about how that transition was going to happen to Vitor Matos. But it's happened fairly smoothly, so there we go. I think Swansea will be happy with where they are at the minute, but Birmingham will be happy with the point. Put it that way.
Okay then. Right, Stefan. Sorry to make you suffer, mate. He's like, "Oh, please no." Right. Wrexham 1, Norwich City 2. Discuss.
The word groundhog day spring to mind. Every time we get a sniff of climbing up the table into the higher echelons of the championship, we knacker it up profusely. Now, take nothing away from Philip Gilmont in Norwich. There are two new signings that we had playing yesterday. Wow. Just wow. One
Can
score.
I just say quickly, Ahmed was unlucky not to score in the first half as well. That shot that went in smacked off the bar as well.
I was coming to that. One scored, and then Ahmed, with that beautiful shot, Akonko was beating all ends up, and by the grace of some god, he hit the bar. Because if that went in, and it was 2-0 after, say, 12 minutes, Wrexham, well, I think we would have capitulated. But after Norwich got the goal, Wrexham dug deep as per usual. And we got back into the game with a wonderful cross and header from
Sam Smith.
And it was a brilliant header because he almost done a 360 when he headed the ball into the net. But I should also say that the match did have a small delay at the start of the second half. I don't know if it was for a supporter or something happened within the ground, but there was a small delay at the start of the second half. And then when Norwich came out, they just, well, for one of a better word, passed the ball out, burst up the field, and scored their second goal thanks to Jefferson McComa. And that proved to be the long and short of it. So yes, the upside is we're still 10th on 40 points. But if we won yesterday, and we were the game of the day on the EFL Highlights programme, by the way, if we won yesterday, we could have been 5th, 6th, in the top 6 anyway. And as per usual, we knackered it up. But it was a good 3 points for Norwich and keeps their heads above the precipice of the relegation places. So take nothing away from them. We've got the belief, we've got the bounds. We're going to do it. No problem.
Yeah, I think the good thing for Wrexham is that the gap is still 3 points, and I've said, and this applies to every team. But again, given how stupidly tight the league is, I think Wrexham will be able to. I can't see Wrexham not recruiting in the next couple of months. And judging by Annie's reaction, I'm guessing the penalty has been saved. But
Annie, we'll just break away a second. Annie, what's happened at AFCON?
That is actually insane. He's tried to Panenka it and it's been saved. In the 112th minute.
Do you know, I've just realised, some gun takes a penalty, tries to Panenka it and looks stupid. Enzo Lefebvre did that at Brentford a couple of weeks ago. But obviously the circumstance is that? But by the way, the circumstance obviously is much different. This is the final of an AFCON tournament. But yeah, so I think from Wrexham, I think that they will recruit under. They've got the ambitious owners. They've obviously got them. They'll see that. I think that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, and to a lesser extent, of course, Phil Parkinson as well, they'll all see this. They'll see this and go 3 points off the top 6 when the parachute teams, apart from Ipswich, again aren't at it. Why not go for it? And if you don't get it, you don't get it.
I agree.
You know. So,
and I've heard rumors, and it is just rumors, but apparently, Wrexham were linked with Kieran Bowie from Hibs for between 3 and 6 million, I think.
Okay. There you go. That'll be all right for you.
It's the rumour, and it is on social media, so take that with a pinch of salt unless it becomes true. But if it does, what a signing for a striker. Now, if you don't know who Kieran Bowie is, he currently plays for my other team up in Scotland, and he should be scoring more goals than he actually is. Basically.
All right. Well, what I will say on the flip side of this game, that is massive for Norwich, because obviously it keeps because of Portsmouth winning as well. It closes the gap to them. It closes the gap to Blackburn. And I've said before that I still struggle to see Norwich going down. I think but obviously, Joshua McCarma. Is it Josh McCarma? Well, anyway, McCarma is
Josh McCarma.
Sorry, this is why I'm not going to say him. Well, McCarma, I will say I love McCarma's finish for the second goal, but I imagine Stefan didn't in the moment. But it's a really calm, composed, mature finish, especially for someone who's such a young striker. And I want to quickly ask Annie your thoughts on this, because obviously one of the big stories from Norwich in the last week or so is one Joshua Sargent, who apparently is able to text his manager, make himself unavailable to play against Walsall in the Cup, and then now wants to try and force through a move to Toronto ahead of the World Cup.
Imagine if you showed up. Imagine if you texted your manager at work going, "No, I don't fancy it. Sorry."
Yeah, sorry, I'm making myself unavailable.
Unavailable for the shift. Yeah.
I'm making myself unavailable to work today. Sorry, boss. Yeah, I mean. It's just, you know what it is, yeah. Remember how funny it is. Just go, yeah, sorry, mate, I don't fancy it. But yeah, what a way to try and ruin your legacy with Norwich fans, though. That's really, really distasteful from Sargent. That.
I guess Norwich are a bit fortunate. They've got McCarmer in, and he's scoring goals and he's banging them in.
As long as he stays fit, yeah.
Yeah, he's banging them in for Norwich. So yeah, they really miss Josh Sargent. Because Josh Sargent at the start of the season, he was really good. He was in a really good form. But since then, he's not particularly been fully at it. And
This season, he certainly hasn't. No.
I know he had an injury at one point, but hasn't really been so fully fit and firing. So yeah, there's a real argument to say, does he even start ahead of McCarmer now? And Philippe Clement, I think, tried McCarmer and Sargent up top together, and it didn't work. So yeah, this is really interesting to see how this one's going to play out. I presume he will probably be sold in the end. I think
I would imagine so.
Yeah, I think probably Norwich are maybe just trying to drive the price up, but still, that's a weird timing as well, because he had the chance to move in the summer. He had the chance
Wolfsburg,
to
wasn't
move,
it?
Yeah, Wolfsburg in the summer, and
The deal
could
was
have
all
left.
agreed, and it was him who turned down the
Yeah.
move.
Yeah,
I mean-
and Norwich were offered a lot more money than they have been now, and obviously January and stuff could impact that, and his form recently could impact that as well. But it's, yeah, really weird how this one's played out, I think.
I
Watch
would
this
have
space,
taken.
basically.
Sorry, Michael. I would have taken Wolfsburg over Toronto FC any day. Not saying that Toronto is a bad team, but I just don't know enough about Toronto.
Do you mean the
'cause-
Bundesliga over the MLS? Is that the best way
Yes.
to put it?
Yeah, because I don't watch the MLS, but I do watch it well Bundesliga.
Yeah, I think that we have to remember Josh Sargent obviously is of American
Of course,
nationality, so I can get there might have been
of course.
family things there, but I agree with you. If you're looking at it from club to club, you
Mhm.
put Wolfsburg over Toronto on paper anyway, but we don't know what goes on.
Exactly.
You don't know what's gone on with what he wants behind the scenes, and I suspect he's probably thinking McCarmer's starting up front now for Norwich. I was the main man before in a season that predates a World Cup this summer.
World Cup, yeah.
So I suspect it, but I still don't like the way. I'm never a fan of when players do that, because it always leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And there's no guarantees he could go to Toronto, who I believe their season doesn't start for another couple of months. So
Yeah,
if that's the case, it makes you think, well, are you really going to benefit that much from going to Toronto apart from family reasons? Okay, that is huge. I'm not going to say it's not, but
yeah.
he had the chance to go to Wolfsburg in the summer, and I think the way he's had, and I've got a lot of admiration for Philip Clement actually for the way that he's handling this and the way that the club are going, no, get yourself to the under-21s if you're going to act like that. And I think too many times a lot of footballers don't appreciate, for me, the position that they are in.
Yeah.
But that's a different story.
Exactly.
To not drag on too long. So yeah, if McCarmer stays fit, and I'm with Annie. I probably think Josh Sargent will be sold this window as long as the valuation's met. His contract runs out, I believe, until the summer of 2028. So they've still got 2.5 years on that deal left. So it gives Norwich a bit of leeway, but we'll see how that ends up going.
Did you say in the season that predates the World Cup in June, to want to go to Toronto, I can only think it's for family reasons. So to want to go there when you're not going to play for a couple of months and you're just going to be training, you're not going to have minutes on the pitch sort of to get yourself in World Cup readiness or shape, if that makes sense. You're not going to have that time to get, well, you can get fit, but you won't have minutes in the legs. So for me, it's a strange situation. And I think it's going to rumble on until the 2nd of February, deadline day. You know that? I really think it is.
Sorry, I think we're going to play a game of guess what's happened based on Annie Harris's reactions. I have seen what's happened because I've got the match report in front of me. But yeah,
we're just going to break away again for an AFCON report, guys.
And for AFCON correspondent Annie Harris, what is going on at the
Jesus
Africa Cup
Christ,
of
they've
Nations
got
final in Morocco?
All right, they've gone into extra time. Obviously, after that last-minute penalty miss, and Senegal have just bloody scored. Oh my god!
Put us where you'll love this.
Goal.
on the BBC Sport live reporting, they've
Oh,
let
what
you
a goal
put
that
goal.
is.
Senegal 1, Morocco 0. It's Pape Gueye, I think it is, who scored.
Oh, he's
Um,
just come on. Oh, what a goal that is.
And the comments literally put, "You cannot write it," with a load of exclamation marks. So,
Oh,
yeah,
what a finish. Oh, sorry.
okay.
Yeah, can't carry on
They've
talking
got me
about
intrigued now. I need to see if I can find a link of this.
Championship.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, look, we'll see what happens with Josh Sargent. I do believe he will move. It's just a question of probably where. What Norwich, I think, need to do is make sure they can try and sign a striker first and then sell Sargent, but that's easier said than done in a window as hectic as January's is and as inflated as January's is. Right, so let's because I know Annie will probably want to watch the end of this game, so let's quickly. So I can guess let's see his match review in the Twitter group chat for Oxford 0, Bristol City 0. It was their shit, we're shit, it's all shit. There you go. The end. Go on, Annie. See if you can try and extend it into about a 30-second match review. Apart from everything was shite.
Yeah, it was not very good. It was not very good.
That's it, mate. Thanks very much for watching,
brilliant review, fantastic.
I don't know what to talk about because nothing happened. It was the most dull, unenthralling, boring, lethargic game of football I've seen in a long, long time. And look, we weren't very good. Oxford weren't very good. It just was a crap game. Bigger picture, I think, is how on earth has this team gone from performing like that against Watford in the Cup to how it did yesterday, which was just crap, absolutely terrible, and it just total night and day. And the inconsistent bipolar nature of this squad strikes again. Bristol City FC strike again.
I shouldn't laugh at using disability terms in football, but that is quite funny.
It's just just terrible from CS. So Toothless up front, and didn't really have too much conviction. Could have easily lost the game. As well. Miles Peter.
Just from Yanni, if you were to flip it, do you think Oxford showed more fighting hunger under
with Matt Bloomfield coming in, yeah.
Bloomfield in his first game?
Obviously, I don't have anything to compare it to because it was Gary Rowett beforehand.
Of course.
But it did look like they had more energy, more conviction in how they played, and on the ball, I thought they were compared to how the fans were describing it under Gary Rowett, it looked a lot better. It looked far sort of cleaner, smoother, and it looked just looked better, I suppose. But still, it wasn't. We're not talking too. It's sort of brilliant here. It's still a lot of improvement, I think, from Oxford. I think they had one shot in the first half, so not particularly good in the end. So, it was okay from Oxford, but it wasn't brilliant. They could, as I said, they could have easily scored. Stan Mills had a one-on-one save by Radek Vitek, who was back.
Seen that, yeah.
Yes, Radek Vitek back in goal. I mean, it's just. I love Max O'Leary. He's probably going to leave in January, and there's been a load of championship clubs interested in him. But Radek Vitek is just a massive upgrade on him. I thought Miles Peter Harris, looked quite good on that left-hand side, and what was it? They've just signed him from Brentford, haven't they, on a permanent as well? So that's a really good signing, and he looked quite lively, looked quite direct. Stan Mills looked pretty decent as well. So they've got some okay players there. Oxford, their midfield, I think, is really good. So yeah, Jamie Donnelly didn't play. I think he's injured as well. So they've got some okay players at Oxford. They've got some good players, but that was probably a stepping stone. They could have won that game. They probably, on the balance of chances, should have won that game. Bristol City didn't. Yeah, created little to nothing in the end, and just looked completely out of sorts. The transitions didn't work. The build-up play was terrible. The passing was awful. I mean, every time Morsey or Randall got on the ball, went astray. Every time Rob Dickey tried to sort of Hollywood pass, it went astray. It just wasn't crisp, wasn't clean enough, and the smooth transitions that we've sort of happened, sorry, we've come used to, hasn't particularly didn't happen yesterday, and it's such a sort of frustrating thing because this team's capable of a lot more, and I'm genuinely a firm believer of the fact that I think this team is more than capable of getting into the playoffs. I think it's got the quality in to do that, but we have been so inconsistent as of late, and it's just been a real pain in the backside. We need a striker. I talked about that before. Delano Bergsorg was heavily linked, and there was a rumor actually on the day of West Brom Middlesbrough that there was he was having a medical at Borough City, but that obviously wasn't true. Went on and scored the winner for Borough, but yeah, it's a need that we need a striker, and it needs to happen pretty quickly. So yeah, it's just a case of if there's not going to be some serious improvement in terms of results, because performances have been relatively consistent. I mean, been okay. I've not been overly convinced by some of them, I'll be honest. Even when we've won games, some performances I've gone, how on earth have we won that? And I've said that for a little while, Michael. I said that at the start of the season as well. So yeah, that needs to get better. But generally, we've been okay. It's just the results need to get better now.
And if I was to flip it again and say, do you think Oxford now have what it takes to survive in the Championship this season? What would your answer be?
I would say I don't know, because I still think they're going to get business done. They signed McDonnell from Nottingham Forest today. He was on loan at Mansfield. He had a really good 6 months over there, and that looks like a good signing. And they've added to that already pretty good midfield they've got over there. So yeah, I'm a little bit unsure. They've got a little bit of a gap between them and fourth bottom at the moment, haven't they?
Yeah, because apparently Matt Bloomfield's what's the word? Matt Bloomfield's I've lost the word now with the board. His job is just to make Oxford safe this season. That's his sole job, is to come in and make Oxford safe and maybe get a few points along the way. He said, I quote, he said, he wouldn't have taken the job if he didn't think he could steer them to championship safety.
Yeah, for me, I think with Oxford, I think we need to probably reassess everything at the end of the window and see what business everyone's done, because that could be a factor. And I suppose from Manny's point of view, it sounds like a case of BPBCD, bipolar Bristol City disorder. Just had to get that in there. But yeah. Guess not much more to talk about really on that end, considering obviously it did end 0-0, and it probably wasn't. Probably the thing that I can tell just when Andy was talking about his form, I don't really want to talk about this. Can we just talk about Senegal, Morocco instead?
Yeah, please, for entertaining and whatever.
Right, so that pretty much concludes it. Stefan, I believe you said you've got the championship table.
Yes, I do. I'll just share the screen.
This is where Steph's the tech whiz. This is where
2 seconds chat.
That is totally fine. But yes, so let's just quickly get this up on here so make sure I can definitely have it right.
As if by magic, here we go.
Here we go. The championship table after game week 25/26/27, depending on who's played how many games.
I'll move it back up for you guys because I was just checking it while we were doing some analysis there. So here is the top of the table.
Here we go. So obviously, I'll start talking anyway, just in the hopes that the table does come up. But yeah, Coventry, of course, the top two, pretty much as it was prior to the weekend. The Coventry City and Middlesbrough, of course, first and second respectively, with Ipswich in third, Millwall in fourth, with Hull City in fifth. Of course, obviously all on 3 extra points. Of course, it's worth remembering that because Preston lost, Stoke through and Watford lost. Obviously, Hull will have jumped up a couple of places into the top 6. Preston, of course, make up 6th place with 43 points. And then you've obviously got Stoke, Watford,
There you go.
City. Here we go. Right, I'll start it again then. Okay, so there you go. Top 6 as stands is Coventry, City, Middlesbrough, Ipswich Town, Millwall, Hull City, and Preston North End. As I said earlier, Hull will have jumped up a couple of places because of Preston, Stoke, and Watford not winning. So then obviously we have Stoke, Watford just outside the playoffs with Bristol City just below them. Wrexham, followed by Queen's Park Rangers and Derby County finishing the top 12. Then in the bottom half, we're going for Ant's favourites times ever to be a Leicester fan in 13th. 14th with Birmingham City, 15th Southampton, 16th Swansea, 17th Sheffield United. Worth pointing out, 3 of the parachute teams, as I said at the start of the season, in the bottom half after Christmas. Mental. 18th, of course, Charlton Athletic with that huge win over Sheffield United. West Bromwich Albion, despite defeat, still a few points clear of the relegation zone with Eric Ramsey to take charge. Then Blackburn Rovers and Portsmouth just above the bottom 3, with Norwich City gets a massive win as well as Portsmouth, and Oxford in 23rd, and followed by Sheffield Wednesday, of course, last in 20th with -7 points. But yes, that is the championship table. That is the review of game week. Well, it's meant to be game week 27, but there's obviously, because of a lot of postponements, there's fixtures going up all over the place. So goodness knows what's going to happen now with the FA Cup in full swing. But anyway, thanks to Stefan and Annie for joining me. Hope, and I'm sure we can get off, and I'm sure that Annie will be able to enjoy the second half of extra time in the AFCON final. And me celebrating the fact that we have no more AFCON with players missing, so that's going to be great. But yeah, anything you want to say before we finish up?
No, not really. Let's get to AFCON.
Yeah, let's get the AFCON
me to
second
AFCON.
half. Let's get the AFCON second half extra time. Hope something else mental happens. Take care, Annie. Take care, Stefan. And thanks to everyone for watching. And we will see you all in the next one. Take care.
And